So we have seen that terrestrial plants are plants that grow on land and can be found in various geographical regions, and terrestrial plants can be classified into plants that live in plains, in mountains, deserts, in swamps and in coastal areas. Now we are going to talk about plants that live in the plains. So the trees and plants of the plains mostly have many branches and numerous leaves. So if you take note of the plants that live in plains, that is the trees and plants of the plains mostly have many branches and numerous leaves, a huge number of leaves. The leaves are renewed periodically, that is after a certain time the leaves turn dry and fall off and new or fresh leaves sprout out again. So the leaves are renewed periodically. Most of the trees shed all the leaves at the same time. There are certain trees wherein all the leaves of the plant drop down at the same time and then fresh leaves come up. So most of the trees shed all their leaves at the same time once a year. These trees are called deciduous trees. So the trees whose leaves drop down at the same time once a year are termed as deciduous trees. Example are your teak, your peepal, your neem, banyan and gulmohar. So these are the trees that grow in the plains. So the trees and the plants that grow in the plains have many branches and numerous leaves, and the leaves are renewed periodically. Some of the trees shed all the leaves at the same time once a year. These trees are called your deciduous trees. The examples are your teak, your peepal, your banyan, your neem and your gulmohar. So this is about the terrestrial plants or the trees that grow in the plains. Next is about the plants that grow in the mountains. In mountainous and hilly places like Ooty, Kashmir, Darjeeling and the Himalayan ranges including Himachal Pradesh, it is very cold during winter. So these places are extremely cold during winter, like Ooty, Kashmir, Darjeeling, Himalayan ranges and Himachal Pradesh. There is snowfall in some areas, like your Himalayas, there is snowfall. The trees that grow here have to survive the cold and snowfall. So the trees that survive in these areas where it is extremely cold and there is snowfall, they have to adapt to the environment. They have to adapt themselves in order to survive. Instead of flowers, they have cones and are called conifers. So instead of flowers, so these particular trees, instead of flowers, they have cones and they are known as conifers. These cones are called conifers. The cones have seeds in them. Conifers have needle-like leaves which have a waxy coating and can survive the cold and winter. So the trees that grow in these hilly places or in these mountainous regions have to adapt to the extremely cold climate and snowfall. So instead of flowers, they have cones and are called conifers. The cones have seeds inside them, and the conifers have needle-like leaves which have a waxy coating and can survive the cold and rainfall. So the waxy coating over the needle-like leaves help them to survive the cold and snow. The main plants of these areas are, so let us see what are the main plants of these areas, that is the mountainous or hilly areas. They are pine, spruce, cedar or deodar and fir trees. So these are the trees. They have needle-like leaves and have cones instead of flowers. These trees have straight and tall trunks. So these trees, that is your cone, your fir, your pine, your cedar, they have straight and tall trunks and needle-like leaves. They are called coniferous trees. So these are called as coniferous trees. So These trees do not shed all their leaves at the same time. So these particular trees, that is the coniferous trees, do not shed all their leaves at the same time. A few leaves fall and new ones grow. So some leaves fall and grow. So they are always green. These trees are called evergreen trees. So only few leaves fall and they grow. So they are always green, and so they are called as evergreen trees. So plants in the mountains. So the plants or the trees that grow in the mountains or hilly areas like Ooty, Kashmir, Darjeeling, Himalayan ranges and Himachal Pradesh have to adapt according to the environment, that is extremely cold winter or even snowfall. And they have cones instead of leaves, and these cones have seeds inside them, and hence they are called as conifers. And the cones have, the leaves have needle-like leaves which have a waxy coating in order to survive the extreme cold and snowfall. So they are called as coniferous trees, and the leaves of these trees do not fall at the same time. Few leaves fall and grow, and hence they are green throughout, and hence they are known as evergreen trees, unlike the deciduous trees wherein all the leaves fall at the same time once a year. So this is your plants, and the examples of plants in the plains are your teak, peepal, neem, gulmohar, banyan, etc. And examples of trees or plants in the mountains are your pine, spruce, cedar, deodar and fir trees. And in the leaves that the trees that grow in the hilly areas, they have leaves that are shaped like a needle and which has a waxy coating in order to protect it from the extreme cold and snowfall.